Hi, I'm Dale Cobb, founder of the Strengths Path. Now, sometimes I'm asked, Dale, what in the world is a Strengths Path? Well, a Strengths Path is that place where you deliver what you do best. It's that place, position, or role where you deliver your best performance. Your Strengths Path is made up of activities that deliver what I like to call your contributive advantage. It's where you deliver the most to your organization, your customers, or your clients. You know, performance is always the point at work, isn't it? Your organization is very interested in performance, and often your individual performance is very closely linked to very measurable organizational numbers like profitability, quality as it relates to manufacturing defects, productivity, sales, customer service, customer satisfaction, and loyalty scores. And they probably also include some numbers that most organizations would love to see go down, like unplanned turnover, injuries on the job, lawsuits after injury, and shrinkage or theft. But your strength path is also about things that are very individual. These include your personal performance, how powerful you feel at work, how purposefully you work, how passionately you operate, how much of your potential you actually realize, how much peace and satisfaction you experience, and how big your paycheck grows. But you know, the vast majority are not working powerfully, purposefully, or passionately. Most workers realize very little of their potential, don't experience much peace or satisfaction at the end of the day, and their paycheck remains a fraction of what it could be. According to Deloitte Consulting, 65%, think of this, 65% of U.S. workers are planning to leave their current employer. A recent Harris Interactive poll of almost 8,000 workers said 42% of workers feel burnt out, 33% feel dead-ended, in other words, they don't see a future in their job, and 85% do not feel strongly energized by their work. Franklin Covey recently did a poll of 23,000 workers, finding that 80% of employees feel unenthusiastic about their goals. Think of the negative impact that has on an organization. 50% feel dissatisfied with their work at the end of the week. So what's going on here? What's the story underneath these numbers? I'm sure you have your own ideas, and we'd love to hear from you on that. But in our experience, which includes over 4 decades in the workplace, it includes family business involvements, numerous entrepreneurial activities, almost a decade of involvement with a staffing company, an 8-year stint in management with a large national company, training and coaching salespeople all over the nation, experience in an employee-owned organization, serving on the boards of 3 nonprofits, running a very successful jobs program in an area that has been labeled the 5th hardest city to find a job in America, and literally decades of seriously studying great organizations, great teams, and great individual performers. In the course of all that, we found one pervasive issue, and that's poor job fit. That is, overwhelmingly, both individuals and organizations do an extremely poor job matching up natural talents and abilities with the positions and roles that they fill. We regularly partner with a company called Intermetrics, and this company just completed a 7-year, 23-country study of 197,000 workers. And in that study, they found only 2 differences between high performers, mid performers, and low-level performers. The first difference was awareness. High-level performers were consistently more aware of their unique talents, those activities and tasks that required specific innate abilities that they possessed. And the second difference was really linked, and it was alignment or authenticity. They took that awareness and they shaped their jobs around it. That is, the high performers were much more congruent with themselves, much more authentic in their work role. For the most part, they only worked at activities and projects that made good use of what they did naturally and what they did extremely well. And in fact, the highest performers actually found ways to avoid activities that forced them to use non-talents. You know, we find many employees and their managers are playing checkers in a chess world. In the game of checkers, all the pieces are the same if you think about it. They move the same, they have the same abilities on the board. They really are interchangeable. Sometimes we think if we could just find a way to get our checkered selves or the checkered person in the cubicle next to us to work with a good attitude, we could win this game. But the world isn't like that, is it? And don't misunderstand, attitude is critical, and I work on mine all the time. But the world is a chess game. All the pieces are different. They're knights and bishops and rooks and pawns and kings and queens, and each has a unique ability on the board. Each has a behavioral style, and each is motivated very uniquely. Jim Collins wrote a terrific book titled Good to Great, and it's been a best-selling book for over a decade, so chances are you've either read it or at least run across it in a bookstore. And this book is about what great organizations do, especially great ones that stay great over time, that merely good ones or mediocre ones don't. And one of his key findings he called the bus concept. Collins maintained that great companies get the right people on the bus, they get the wrong people off the bus, and they get the right people in the right seats. But in our experience, only top-tier companies get that third one right with any consistency. Great performers are obsessed with making sure they get in the right seat or role that maximizes their natural talent. And if they find they're working in a role that doesn't fit, they either change roles or often reinvent the role so it does fit. And in some cases, that right seat might mean finding a new bus. Jay Niblick is the founder of the organization I talked about earlier, Intermetrics. And in his book, which is brilliant, by the way, it's called What's Your Genius, Jay talks about the importance of the right-hand turn. As he explains it, there are two factors when you start out in any new job: the person and the role or position. And in step one in any new job, the person is a person just accepting the role. Step two is learning the role and the different nuances and tasks. Step three is identifying needs or gaps in the role that are really the difference between what they have to offer and what the job requires. But step four is the key difference maker. Wildly successful people always turn right, and that is they tweak the role to fit or be more aligned with who they are. Mediocre employees almost always turn left. They attempt to change themselves, they attempt to turn weaknesses into strengths in order to fit the role. I've identified about a dozen basic ways of turning right, and they're used all the time by high performers in just about every position you can think of. But again, mediocre performers almost always turn left. The Gallup organization did a study of nearly 2 million workers around a single question. They asked, at work, do you have the opportunity to do what you do best every day? And the results, I tell you, were nothing short of astonishing. Gallup found that business units that had a significant percentage that answered yes to this question had significantly better metrics than business units where workers answered no. All the numbers I talked about earlier were dramatically better. Profits were higher, production quality better, productivity higher, sales higher, customer service and satisfaction and loyalty scores went up. And the numbers most organizations would love to keep low, they were better. Unplanned turnover went down. Injuries on the job was lower. Lawsuits after injury lower. Shrinkage or theft lower as well. And Gallup asked at least a dozen questions that they thought might have impact, and none of the other factors were even close. And just as significantly, the answer to Gallup's question correlated very closely to how powerful, how purposeful, how passionate, and how much potential you realize at work, how much peace and satisfaction you experience, and how much is your paycheck growing. So I have some questions for you. Do you know what your contributed advantage is? Do you have absolute clarity on it? Do you know what your natural talents and innate abilities and aptitudes are? Do you know them so well that you can clearly communicate them to your manager and place them front and center on a resume and share them in a job interview? Have you developed your natural abilities into full-blown strengths? Are you delivering your strengths on a daily basis in the workplace? Are you delivering your competitive advantage in a way that has the biggest impact on numbers and metrics your organization is attempting to drive? And here's my last question. Why guess if you can know? StrengthsPath exists to help individuals maximize their organizational impact in ways that help realize personal passion, purpose, and fulfill your potential. I tell you, businesses never drive profit. They never increase productivity or improve production quality scores. People do that, but only the right people in the right seats. Allow us to share a couple of free diagnostic profiles and a few other tools that can be found free on our website. These tools are designed to give you insight, increase your awareness about your innate talents and abilities, and then help you create alignment and job fit in your organization. Helping you discover, develop, and deliver your unique strengths in the workplace. That's StrengthsPath. That's all we do. Give us a call or shoot us an email today. Thank you very much.